I'm setting out on my own mission over the next few months before Black Ops 7 comes out. And as you guys know, if you know me from the beginning of Black Ops 6 or just Black Ops 6 in general, or if you know my channel in general, you know that I love to camo grind or just unlock challenges in general. So for the next 2 months, we're going to be unlocking camos in older Call of Duties. And this is the first one that I chose. It is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. And to be quite frank, this challenge was extremely difficult because I gave myself only 7 days to do it, and we have successfully done it. As you see on screen, we have unlocked Dark Aether. This video is going to be me going over everything that has happened over the past week, showing you guys clips and just giving you guys a rundown of each weapon class and just what mental struggles I went through, because to be quite honest, I just spent the last 24 hours because I had 1 day left in the challenge to get everything done, thanks to the awful snipers and melee weapon in the game. It has been extremely difficult and honestly a lot of fun. This was great. It was a great experience, and I really appreciate everyone that came around to all the streams and everything like that. It was genuinely an awesome experience, and Legion is not the hardest boss in the game or in Call of Duty ever. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the video. I'm a freak. Next is Black Ops 4. Starting with ARs. Honestly, the ARs were pretty fun. It's Call of Duty at the end of the day. It's your classic AR. The strat I used for this, honestly, the strat I used for most of the camo grind in general was Onslaught Containment, because I was told to do it, but also Onslaught Containment is a really fun game mode. I know it's just sitting in a corner like you guys are just watching me do it, and like for the most part, I'm in Onslaught for the entirety of the grind. That's how I got this done in 7 days, because if I didn't, the leveling system in this game, it would just take way too long to catch up. It would have taken me a month minimum to get this done if I didn't touch Onslaught at all, especially because I did most of this grind by myself. I had a lot of help, and like I'm extremely grateful for it. Everyone that decided to play with me, everyone that helped me do outbreak Easter eggs and just Easter eggs in general to get the purple ether tool. It was super nice of you guys. But that's mainly what I did after the ARs, and I started leaning into the tac rifles and other weapons into the game. I sat there and made sure that I did all the Easter eggs so that I could have the ether tool. So after ARs is when I had my ether tools, but I think for the most part I had blue for half of the grind and then purple for the rest of it. But yeah, I mean, all ARs were great. There was the only bad AR that I really ended up using was the AK. I think this game has the worst iteration of the AK ever. It does, at least in my experience, it did no damage. It didn't know what it wanted to do. I just wasn't the biggest fan of it. I was just happy. After I finished the ARs, I was just happy to be done with them and just move on to a different weapon class, because none of them really stood out. Like, this was a very interesting game for me because none of the ARs truly stood out and like felt like their own weapon. They all kind of felt the same. I think the one that stood out was the AK, but it stood out in a bad way. Like, it was just like the worst one out of all of them. I used the XM4, the Krig, the Vargo, the AK, and the Grav, or the Galil, whatever you guys want to call it. Those were the 5 assault rifles that I chose out of all of them, and I kind of wish I chose the FAR or the FAMAS, whatever they called it in this game. I think that would have been a better experience, but at the same time, I didn't have any DLC weapons unlocked. I started this account fresh level 1 before I started this grind. I'm literally leveling up in first prestige during the ARs. Like, it was not the smartest thing for me to hop in here without DLC weapons, because that would have helped out a lot. But blasting through these guys, it was just a lot of fun. Honestly, the ARs were the easiest part. There was nothing really difficult about them. I would say the hardest part about the ARs was making sure that I got the ether tools in Onslaught Containment and making sure that I ended up getting my pack-a-punches to make myself strong enough, because I wasn't in a space where I was strong enough at all. I was at a complete disadvantage the entire time until I got my purple ether tool to start the games with, I would say. Or no, that didn't happen until I was on my LMGs, and LMGs are a completely different discussion for later in the video.
Really should put a laser sight on this for hip fires. How did you touch me there? Okay, I got it. It's fine. Plague Diamond. I don't know how that guy touched me. You can't see it because the camera's in the way, but we got it. Wish Plague Diamond popped up instead of Gold Viper. No one really cares about Gold Viper. Here we go. Wait, this actually looks really good on this map. And with the flashlight on, I actually really like that.
Next, we're going to be talking about tac rifles, and tac rifles were not good. I didn't record any of it. I only recorded the video I made for the tac rifles, and it was just the whatever this gun is. I don't even know what this gun is called. The DM whatever, the DM10, I think, the DM something, whatever rifle this is. These guns were so forgettable, except for the M16 and the AUG. And the only reason why I remember them is because they're so iconic. Other than the fact that the M16 is probably the best gun in the game, the attack rifles, I just decided to not record them at all. This was all cut from the stream when I ended up unlocking Plague Diamond on them. They're fun if you hate yourself. My fingers were killing me when I was done with this. I did the attack rifles in 2 days because I physically could not keep clicking my mouse fast enough to get them done in a day. Again, if you do this camo grind and you do one section a day or one weapon class a day, that gives you 9 days in total. So you really have to brute force your way through some of these weapon classes. I think attack rifles was the one that I was dreading the most, so I just did it second and I made sure that I got this done ASAP. They're really, really forgettable weapons. I'm not gonna lie, the thing they could have done better with these is probably just make them do more damage or penetrate zombies more often. For actually half of the attack rifles, I ended up doing I was in the middle of doing the Easter eggs with these. So Dive Machine was the first one that I did. I guess when I was done with the whole category, that's when I started doing the Easter eggs. This is a short category because I don't have much on it. If you could skip weapon classes in this game, I would recommend skipping the attack rifles and the sniper rifles, but sadly you can't skip in this game. They force you to do everything. So if you're interested in doing the camo grind, definitely do the attack rifles first, because that's going to save you so much mental torture towards the end, especially if you decide to leave the knife and the sniper rifles for last. You will definitely save yourself from pain and misery. Honestly, the SMGs were great. I had a lot of fun using these. They were a little weird because they wouldn't do a lot of damage. You'd expect them to do like a similar amount of damage as ARs to some extent, especially when you're close range getting run down in corners by a bunch of zombies all the time, especially when they're getting hit by toxic growth. But I kind of struggled with some of them. The MP5 and the Milano are not going to be here because those took me the longest and I just didn't have enough space to record all of that. I believe that the MP5 was probably the worst SMG out of all 5 that I did. Milano was close second, but I did the Bullfrog, the LC-10, and the MAC-10, and I have to say the MAC-10 is probably my favorite gun in the game. Bullfrog is a close third, but Bullfrog felt very unique and very different from a Bison that they've like had in Call of Duty. Like, honestly, all the guns in this game feel pretty unique from other CODs, and the only one that doesn't really, or weapon class that doesn't really stand out in this game is the ARs. ARs are pretty hard to like change and make them feel different from every other game because they're ARs. It is what it is, but each SMG in this game is unique in a way. Every single gun has a different animation. Every single gun has like this different, they're just different. But the MAC-10 is hands down my favorite gun in the game after this whole experience. After I got gold on the Bullfrog and gold on the LC-10, which you don't get to see on screen, unfortunately, because I was an idiot, we moved on to the MAC-10. And the MAC-10, as you saw, we just hit level 50 on the MAC-10. And now I just go up top and sit in the old round 100 spot. I don't know if it's still around 100 spot for this map. I opted into sitting here for my last set of challenges, which was get 20 kills without getting hit. Super easy with the MAC-10. This gun is an absolute beast. The fire rate as soon as you pack a punch and the ammo capacity, it just makes me smile looking at it. Like, it's so good. It's such a good gun. But other than that, like, I thought I wasn't gonna like the SMG class, and then I used the LC-10, the Bullfrog, and the MAC-10. And those 3 really rounded it out for me. Though the LC-10 was kind of like in zombies for me. In multiplayer, I know it's like one of the best. And then after all of that, we unlocked Plague Diamond. This is the 3rd weapon class that we unlocked Plague Diamond on. And of course, there's 6 more. We have 6 more to do at this point. And this, I think I was already on day 3 with the MAC-10. Or with the SMG class. I did a class a day. My goal was actually to do a class a day. So I did not think I was going to do it in 7 days. I had no plan to do it in 7 days. And then all of a sudden I was like, you know, fuck it, let's just do it in 7 days. Very big mistake, because the LMGs were a surprising challenge. You'd think big mag, a lot of ammo, a lot of damage, high fire rates, and no problems. That's what you would think. But then if you decide to be an idiot and sit in onslaught containment like myself the entirety of your grind, because you said that you were going to get this done ASAP, you find that reloading is probably the worst thing you can do. Even with toxic growth, you still end up getting hit a lot. 90% of the games I ended up playing while using the LMGs, I don't think I lasted over like round or surge 50. Sorry, it's not rounds. So I don't think I lasted over 50 surges. So my strat for the LMG was to kind of just sit in, instead of the corner up the stairs on the balcony for KGB, I was sitting in the corner by one of the bookshelves, and I would put 2 sets of toxic growth down and then have my teammate sit next to me and throw down Ring of Fire whenever I had, or it was close to reloading, because it would stop me from having to reload. And then also the zombie spawns are so much more visible here, and you kind of just like run through the rounds a little quicker. So just because I wasn't in the games long enough, or as long as I was before going into like Surge 60 or 70 with the ARs and SMGs, I was getting into like, you know, Surge 45, 50 in like 30 to 35 minutes instead of an hour, or instead of like 45 to an hour. It just happened a lot quicker in this spot. It was not safe, and it was a lot harder to get headshots because, you know, when you're swiping across your mouse pad left and right as fast as possible, you're only going to be able to do so much. So the RPD was actually pretty easy in that regard because it ended up just happening so much faster for that gun. And then as soon as I got to the Stoner, I realized how bad of a gun it actually was. Because I remember when I used it a little bit at the beginning of the grind, I would pick it up here and there. The Stoner's reload is just stupid. It's quick, you know, it struggles with ammo, and that's the thing that sucks about the Stoner. It's like, it's such a hit or miss with it, and I didn't like using it at all. That's why there's like 2 seconds of it here. Like it's a good gun, but like for me to enjoy it, it wasn't there. It was not there. That was such a letdown for the Stoner, because my expectation of the Stoner was Black Ops 1, and the Black Ops 1 Stoner is the fucking best gun in the game. So I was a bit disappointed in the Stoner, and that one took me at least 2 hours to do because of just how inconsistent it felt. And then we get to the best LMG in the game, the M60. Oh my god, this gun was so bad. I don't know if I please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's anyone out there that actually likes this gun. Its reload time is horrendous, atrocious, if you will. It is so bad. I could make a fucking sandwich before I'm done reloading that gun. I hated it. I have all of my augments maxed out for speed cola, and I still can't reload this thing fast enough with a speed mag on it. So not only do you forfeit a 200 to 300 round magazine, you now only have 97 rounds in your gun, and you reload slow as shit still. It's somehow is worse than the Stoner. And then on top of that, the recoil on it was existent on a build that I was using. It was horrible. The opportunity for headshots was just not there. It was a bad experience. The M60 was a bad experience until I got the right attachments, and then it kind of like turned itself around, and it started to feel really good. And it wasn't that bad if you can ignore the reloading. So instead of using Toxic Growth here, I think we had 2 sets of Ring of Fire, or well, I was playing by myself here, but I had Ring of Fire instead because I realized it was way more important to just get as much ammo out as possible to get through this gun and just move on to something else, because I couldn't take it anymore. There was only 3 guns in the LMG class, which is great. You know, that pushes me to go into pistols, launchers, the knife, and the special, the M27. As soon as I broke through this, it got me through the rest of the grind. And let's just say the next part is not that great. This was probably the biggest mental battle of the entire grind. And to be quite honest, this is probably the hardest thing I've ever done in a Call of Duty. If I wasn't making this video, I would have given up. I genuinely would have given up. This was so painful. If we go back in time, probably like a day before I did the snipers, I decided that I was gonna do this in 7 days. That was on day 5. From day 5 to 6, I did about 20 weapons in the span of 2 days, if that. I did not do that many weapons at the beginning. That's why most of the stuff is with the purple ether tool that you guys have seen throughout this video. So I'm squeezing in the snipers within the last 24 hours of this challenge. At this point, I probably have 15 hours left. I couldn't fathom completing it when I started the sniper rifles in the morning on day 6. I started the stream and I was like, we're gonna bang out some sniper rifles. It took me 3 hours alone to do the Pellington, this piece of garbage. Like it took 3 hours to do the Pellington. That weapon was not it at all. It was not it. The Tundra, on the other hand, the Tundra was a special one. I really like the Tundra. Everyone told me to stay away from the Tundra and you do the Barrett or something like that, or the M82, I think it was called in this game. I didn't want to. I would pick up the Barrett, and I did not like that gun at all. I thought the fire rate on the Tundra was so much faster. So I opted into doing the Pellington, Tundra, and the Swiss Kiss. I'm calling it the Swiss Kiss. That's the name it's got from me. I've been doing that non-stop. Yeah, as soon as I put on the snipers and started using them, I realized I made a massive mistake. And to be quite honest, like I said earlier, if I really wasn't making this video, I probably would have quit. Like, I am mentally troubled after this. And that's saying something, because I don't get like that when I do this stuff. This stuff is usually super easy for me. Like, I could do Nebula in 24 hours if I really, not really. No, it's actually borderline impossible to do that in 24 hours. It is impossible to do that in 24 hours. But like, I can do camo grinds. I do camo grinds fast. I mean, every Call of Duty, I'm done within a week. Within the first 7 to 8 days, I'm finished with the camo grind. With or without small maps for it, it doesn't matter. This is like what I do. But I am telling you, adding 50 levels to a weapon and then making it dog shit when pack-a-punched equals ass experience. Like, I have a frown on my face talking about these weapons. There was no need for these to be, 1, this bad, and 2, in the fucking game. I couldn't believe that you had to get weapon classes done instead of weapons done in this game. That was like the biggest struggle in my mind, especially with the snipers. I was trying to skip the snipers any which way I could. It was not possible. You have to get every weapon class done, so you can't skip. And at the end of the day, we got it done, and we got it done on the Swiss Kiss. We actually got 2 guns done around that time, but that's for the later portion of the video, as in like after the pistols. But we got 2 guns done in that last split second, and I was so overjoyed. 1, that the snipers are done, and 2, that another weapon class is done, and I only had 2 left after that, or 1, yeah, 2 left after that, and it was just like such a mind-blowing experience, and it was so good to finally be done with these. Snipers was the last 24 hours. I wanted to give you guys, I had to throw the snipers in before I did this. So snipers were literally within the last 24 hours of the challenge, but now we're on to our favorite weapons, Psych. And so the pistols were interesting. I've never played a Call of Duty where the pistols were as strong as they are. It was such an interesting experience because every single pistol I used was busted, in my opinion, because I'm used to old round-based zombies where the pistols don't do shit, where the pistols don't do anything. I know in Black Ops 6 the pistols are broken now, but I don't use them. When the game came out, the pistols actually weren't even that good in comparison to this game. I was astonished. You spawn in and your M1911 is doming people. Then give it a couple of rounds, you get pack-a-punch on that thing. That thing is insane. On top of that, you have the AMP, and the AMP literally full auto machine gun with the damage of an SMG as a pistol. Like, this class was a godsend, honestly, because at this point in the grind, I was already getting a little worried. I was like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna have enough time or anything like that, but pistols altogether took me 3 hours max, because each pistol took me an hour, maybe an hour and a half, so like 3.5 hours max. Super simple. I did the same strat I was doing for like the ARs, the SMGs, which is why I'm really not covering much on these. There was no struggle. It was the same thing. At this point, I started sprinkling in a lot of Nuketown. I realized at this point, Nuketown was actually a pretty fast-paced map in comparison to some of the other ones. I also started getting tired of sitting in the corner, and I wanted more of a challenge, and Nuketown brought that challenge. I mean, this whole mode in general is just a defense challenge on the side of doing a camo grind. And in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with doing it this way. If this is how you want to grind the camo, go right ahead and grind your camo in Onslaught Containment, because Onslaught Containment is not like directed mode in Black Ops 6 in any way. Directed mode is for babies. Directed mode is super easy. Onslaught Containment is difficult. It is literally round after round of speed demons sprinting at you, except for the first 7-8 surges. It's like nothing, but it becomes such a difficult challenge, and then all of a sudden you're getting blasted with zombies, and they're pretty strong. At one point, I wasn't getting lucky enough. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it here in the pistol gameplay, but there's times where I'm on like Surge 40. I think it is in the pistol gameplay, but I'm on Surge like 40 with Pack-a-Punch 1 or 2 and Legendary, but obviously Legendary comes from 1 Aether tool because I have purple rarity when I spawn in. So what happens is I'm literally getting shafted by my drops, and half the time I'm not even getting good perks at the beginning, like the good defense perks. So the game is just shafting me halfway through this grind, which was also halting my progression because I would have to die. I would end up dying really early on. So like the game mode is actually really difficult and genuinely a lot of fun to play, because it's more than just aim, shoot, sit in a corner, even if that's what it looks like on the surface. It was such a treat in between all of the terrible weapons that I had to use up until that point. Now it's time for the launchers. The launchers are pretty self-explanatory. Spamming Ring of Fire, going kaboom on the ground, everything blows up. It was a lot of fun using the launchers. That is getting launchers diamond right there. And I did that right after I got the Swiss Kiss diamond. So it was like that nice little right in between, where where I was able to do that and then just go right to the shotguns to get the shotguns done, because after the shotguns, all I had left was the melee weapon. And the melee weapon, oh my god, let me tell you how frustrated I was getting. I'm sure you all know. Everyone told me not to use the regular combat knife or whatever, but again, I'm not going to sit there and work on half of a melee weapon and then go get another melee weapon. So I decided to just suck it up and use the combat knife. And to be quite honest, the snipers set me up for success in regard to, you know, understanding how painful some of the things are going to be. So doing the melee weapon wasn't really that bad. And as you finally see up on the screen, we have Dark Aether Camo. After 7 whole days of grinding, I'm actually really happy that I have that now, because when I come back and play this game at any point to like compare games, compare camo grinds, if that's a video you guys want to see, I can compare camo grinds from Black Ops 6 to Cold War to Black Ops 4 to any Call of Duty Zombies game except for Vanguard, because that's not a real game. I could definitely do that. I appreciate you guys watching the entire video. I genuinely cannot believe that I got this done in 7 days, and to finally have Dark Aether Camo on a game that I didn't think I would even enjoy, because if you remember back at the beginning of the year, I was a Cold War hater. This game is god awful to me. So yeah, that's Dark Aether.
Okay. All right.
Oh, come out. I'm setting out on my own personal mission for the next few months, or the next 2 months. Shit, I'm setting out on my own personal mission.